All right. Hi, everybody. Hi, this is Greg. And so, pretty much, I wanted to do my interview on the Infinity War Avengers Infinity War movie. And so, what I wanted to say was that pretty much I had the kids all write out a little something, and then they wrote out what they were going to say. And so, I just wanted to say a couple of things for myself as well. So, pretty much, the title of the movie is The Avengers Infinity War. The next one is describe the setting of the movie. The movie took place several places all over the world, all over the universe. Uh, you know, um, the universe. Just kind of pull it back, Abby. Pull it back. Just getting forward. Yeah, don't have to raise it up right now. All right. Pretty much the movie. It's the Avengers Infinity War, and pretty much it took place in the Marvel universe. And the Marvel universe has many places. Summary of the plot. The movie starts off with right where the Ragnarok leaves off, and so pretty much you have the whole thing with Asgard as being the last survivors of Asgard is being like tortured and pretty much killed off by Thanos, and you have Thor and Loki, and pretty much it's one of those things where you're sitting there watching the movie and you're like, oh my goodness, they must have had some really bad battle because they never show you what it is, but they're really like Thor's really messed up and Loki's really messed up too. In the middle, the big turning point in the movie that was really harsh for us was dealing with the death of Gamora and how Thanos had to make a real tough decision to kill her in order for him to get the Soul Stone, and that was very hard to watch because it's like we were sitting there saying that she should be quiet because she was kind of like taunting him, saying that that he didn't love anything, and that she didn't even know that he loved her, but then I guess he loved his mission more, to where he was willing to push her over the side of the mountain. And then you have the sad part about it, that she died so he can get the Soul Stone, and it's like it's kind of a set deal because in order for him to reverse everything, they need all the stones to turn back time or something. So it's kind of one of those things where I don't know how going forward you'll actually be able to fix that problem. And then the last thing too, at the very end, very much everybody dies, and it's very sad because it's like, you know, um, you're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, oh my goodness, how are they going to reverse all this? How are they going to solve this? There's going to be more movies later, right, of different characters. I mean, but then I started thinking, what if this really is the end? You know, like if it's really the end, then that makes it a very sad movie. Um, who is my favorite character? My favorite character, I had several in this movie. I like the arc, the work for Thor in this movie. I thought he did a real good job in terms of like when you first watch the first Thor movie, how he's like so airheaded and so like short tempered, and then when you watch the second Thor movie, how he's getting more balanced. Finally, get to Ragnarok, and he's just balanced. He's balanced himself a lot, and he's willing to go back and try to help. And he's part of a big thing to go save his hometown of Asgard, and then to become really the real king of Asgard. Then to be faced with Thanos, and there's a part where he says in the movie how he doesn't have anything. He doesn't have anything anymore. His mom got killed by elves. His sister, she died on Asgard, and his father died, and his brother, his half brother, who was an ice giant, Loki, is dead too. He even lost one of his eyes. And so it was one of those things where you're just saying, "Oh my goodness!" It's like he lost so many things in this movie. I mean, in just and so him going to one more thing, he said, "I have nothing left more to lose." And then I thought about Rocket, how Rocket helped him out there. And so it's, another main character that I liked, I thought was on the funny side. The funny side was that he have a situation with Hulk, and that Hulk didn't want to be Hulk. And Hulk himself did not. He's like, "Come on, Hulk, we need you," and Hulk didn't come out. He's like, "No," and he's like, "I'm not going to fight," and he wasn't coming out to fight at all. And so that was kind of messed up because like they really needed Hulk to help, and he's like, "No, I'm not coming out," and that was just messed up. So he had to kind of solve the problem without the Hulk, and that in and of itself was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. Um, the main character, the main antagonist of the movie was Thanos, and what's hard to believe is that his rationale, in terms of there's like a thing called eugenics, and I guess we'll talk about more about that later. But just some of the things was that the whole thing in terms of eugenics, his basis was that by having half the universe, or even half a planet, or half of something, half a ship left alive, it makes a balance, and it means that the resource that would have been used for everyone is not going to be used anymore. So now you have half of it, so that way people can still make it. So you had a thing about balance, and everything had to be balanced, and balance, balance, balance. And it was one of those things where it was just like, it was unfair that he was the decider of that for anyone. So he just arbitrarily like went to divide the entire universe in half. Those who lived, those who died, and it was like you're not sure who was worthy to be saved. I talked more about that when I was talking to Timmy before earlier. Um, there's so many lessons in this. There's lessons of sacrifice. There's lessons of there's a lot of biblical lessons, like Abraham and Isaac. God had told Abraham to go and kill his son, so that he would be able to, to show, his faithfulness to him. But in the last moment, God stops Abraham from killing Isaac, and instead, provides another sacrifice for him. And in this movie, that didn't happen for Gamora and Thanos. Another part was that sometimes, people are so sure they're gonna win that they're willing to risk everything, and sometimes the things didn't work out. Like in the case of Loki and Hulk, Loki and Hulk were enemies before, and then here's Loki coaching Hulk to fight, and then it didn't work out for both of them. And then you have some more stories that jumped out was you have it where it's like just the fact that everyone was willing to fight. And I thought about Tony Stark, and Robert Downey Jr.'s part he was playing, how in a sense he started the whole Avengers, and he's having the last fight with Thanos, like one of the last fights with him, and he's going like everything he has, everything like all the world's strength is in Tony trying to fight against Thanos, and at the end of it, Thanos is like that all that for like a drop of blood, you know, and and then it was like just so many things were like these characters were so willing to sacrifice their lives for the sake of all humanity, and I thought it was just amazing and very admirable. But when I left the theater that night, last night, I was just shook. I was just so shook in terms of like how heavy the ending was. I mean, they gave you a heavy hand, and if that's the end, that was very heavy. The thing about Vision, I thought that was kind of messed up how they kept on limiting Vision's power to where he couldn't phase and couldn't get out in time, or he couldn't phase in time. They kept on catching him and then trying to take the stone out of his head. I mean, they had it well planned. All the villains were so smart in this movie, and I was just shocked about that. And what lessons can I add to my life about this? That Thanos wasn't really, in terms of a villain, all the villains in the Marvel universe have a really strong purpose. They just want to be bad for being bad sake. They have a purpose for their existence. And it's just like it's a challenge the Avengers. If all the Avengers were together at the same time to fight, they would have been able to defeat Thanos because they were all parsed and put in pieces. Like somewhere here, somewhere there. They weren't able to give him an even-handed blow and beat him up. So instead, he was able to take them all out. On his own. And then so what happens was you have a scenario where his idea, he just wanted to very much just have a moment of just sitting down and having lunch or watching the sunrise, knowing that the universe is balanced. And that's what he wanted, and that's what he got. And it was very intense to watch that. When Vision got killed, it was terrible. All the people out, Vision got killed, when Loki got killed, when all the people got killed, it was just really sad. And then just terrible. The message I got from the movie is that when people are really hardcore driven on their goals, to the extent we're willing to sacrifice their family, willing to sacrifice any of their anything just to accomplish their goal, you got to really understand what an idol is, and how idolatry can really take over your life, and at the end of it, you're really lonely. You have nothing left. The next thing is that they said Jesus' name in there, and it was really bold and pronounced. And in light of the fact that this is a movie and it's almost like watching a Shakespearean play, I always think about whenever characters or movies say the name of Jesus, and Jesus is really the answer to life's problems and life situations, that you have a scenario where they're actually mocking at the real hope for real people, as opposed to a fictional hope. I mean, they could have said anything, they could have said who's your master, and he said, you want me to say Jesus? Who am I supposed to say Jesus? And that's a real good answer because Jesus is the master. But the way he said it, the audience started laughing, and that wasn't a joke. He wanted to say, "Who's your master? Who do you serve?" And who's your master? Who do you serve? Because Thanos served his own purposes, and he wanted to bring balance, and he was the determiner of what determines balance. He said, "I'm doing what everybody needs to do, but nobody has the power to do it." But in Jesus did what no one could do, and he was able to give us salvation because of his death, as opposed to Thanos giving everybody death so he can have peace of mind. So that was a very interesting movie, and so I am really glad to have seen it, and I would love to see it again. The end sequence, the very last thing that happened. I talked about this on the interview with Timmy, and it was with Tamil, and we were talking about that. The last thing. There's two things I thought of. One, when the helicopter was falling, and the Samuel L. Jackson was there. I thought about Incredibles, and I was like, "Where is my super suit?" You know, I thought about that. Just the thing when the helicopter's falling down, and he's asking his wife, for the super suit. The next one, I thought about how if you bring Captain Marvel in, to save the day, I don't know how she's gonna save the day. And I also was wondering about what happened to Adam Warlock, because Adam Warlock is the only one in the Marvel universe, one of many who could defeat Thanos. And so it was just one of those things. So just want to say that. Thank you so much for listening, and that was my little review in the midst of everything. So thank you so much, and please like and subscribe, and have a good day. All right, bye. Peace and God bless.